Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And today I want to talk about Venus and Mercury transiting through the sign of Sagittarius. This is a beautiful aspect. Both Mercury and Venus are in some respects together, they're kind of fun planets. Mercury's super curious and flirtatious and has a youthful energy. And Venus, she's love and passion and cozy experiences and art and good food. So here we have them in the sign of exploration. So this is really exciting. So what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to talk a little bit about what Sagittarius governs and what we might find from Venus and Mercury within that sign. And then I'm going to go through the what I think are the significant transits of these two planets before they enter Capricorn and things get a little bit more serious. So let's start with, what does the Sagittarius in the ninth house mean? On a big, broad level, it's where we address the philosophies of who am I, what am I, why am I here on earth, what is the meaning of it all. It represents religion and really broad, expansive perceptions. And I don't necessarily mean my perception now, but a willingness to go and look at things from a broader point of view. It is where we develop our personal philosophies, our personal morals, our personal ethics. And I think a lot of that has to do with what we've experienced in the eighth house of Scorpio and how that experience can transform us. The ninth house offers us a journey of discovery. I almost feel like when I was getting ready to do the video, I thought Mercury and Venus would be kind of an interesting, they'd take a trip to Solvang in California, sort of a foreign place, but not a long distance trip. And yet it would give you a long distance experience. There's a lot of energy of excitement for these two in this house. I feel like there's a zest for life. There's a feeling of wanting to expand. I feel as if this is an opportunity to really look at my own personal religious views, my worldviews, my belief system. The ninth house rules the justice system. It rules law, higher court systems. It also rules publishing. So we're in Gemini, we see our everyday writings, teachings, our emails, and things such as that. Up in the ninth house, we see where we write our master's thesis, where we publish things for others to view and to learn from. We also are going to see a little bit of the shadow side of Sagittarius is an overexpansion, overindulgence. We can overcommit to things. We can overcommit to pleasure, booking 2 dates in one day kind of thing, or going to too many parties on the weekend. But overall, I think this is really fun. Let's talk a little bit about Venus in Sagittarius, because for me, Sagittarius is a fire sign, and fire is always the spark of creativity. They say in Survivor, without fire, you don't have life. In this particular incarnation of our fire signs, we're seeing mutable energy. We're seeing adaptability. So there's this general inquisitive nature here. And here is where Venus kind of explores love affairs with people that are different than her, different cultures. This is where she likes to attract a variety of relationships so that she can garnish wisdom and she can exhibit the intelligent nature that she possesses naturally. This is where she experiences relationships that give her wisdom. So we might see Venus, as she's going through Sagittarius, incorporating some relationship issues that she felt in the eighth house, and now she's feeling more liberated. I feel here she's asking herself, what do I want for me? And how do I want to expand and grow and to be more diverse diverse. We know Venus and Taurus can be a little steady, a little, I like things, you know, the way I like them. I like to know where my things are. Here, it's almost as if Venus packs a bag of all the most beautiful things she loves, and she's willing to take them with her, so she can explore and she can adventure and she can be the independent energy that she is. Now, let's talk a little bit about Mercury here, because Mercury is by nature curious, and Mercury rules the opposite sign of Gemini. So in Gemini, we see Mercury very quick in its information. It's sort of, I always sort of picture it like TikTok and writing emails and short bits of information and spinning those, taking them with me and sharing them with everyone with everywhere I go. That's where I want to put it. Here, I think we see Mercury sort of elevate a little bit. The curiosity is not as fleeting because of the natural movement of the house of Sagittarius. The natural inherent discovery process, I think, plays to Mercury and plays to the idea of elevating his bag of information. That's the way I want to put it. So here, as these two planets travel together, I feel as if they were humans, Venus would say, let's go get Indian food tonight. And of course, that's assuming that you're not Indian. It would have to be something exotic. So for me, that's exotic. And Mercury would say, let's go see, you know, Hidden Dragon, Jumping Tiger. I can't remember the name of that movie, but a foreign film, something avant-garde, something exotic. And they're having fun because they're stimulating each other. So I really think that this is a time that you can offer yourself stimulation and discovery, and maybe even looking into new philosophies about your own spirituality. Say you want to dip your toe into Buddhism or existentialism, or just curiosity, maybe even in the tarot. I don't know, but just feels like a real opportunity to expand, to grow, to become flexible. And I don't mean flexible that these two planets aren't flexible, but I mean flexible in the excitement of incorporating something you've never experienced before into your everyday life, Mercury. So I think this is super fun. And I think the children that are born with this aspect, with the Sun and Mercury and Sagittarius, I mean, the Venus and Sagittarius, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Sagittarius. Oh my goodness, these kids are going to be great. They're going to be super high-spirited. They feel like they're going to be really like those kind of people that could actually, like, even when you're annoyed with them, you still love them to bits, and you're like, oh my God, you're so charming. It's a wonderful combination of planets and energy. So now let's talk about who they're going to be talking to the rest of the month in the way of our zodiacal friends. So Venus, I don't have the exact time, but Venus moved into Sagittarius on the 16th of November, and Mercury follows today, November 17th. Venus will stay in Sagittarius until December 9th, and Mercury will leave Sagittarius or stay in Sagittarius until December 6th. When they move into Capricorn, they're going to start to spread their wings a little bit, but then Mercury is going to go retrograde and head back this direction. But for now, they're still hanging out very closely, and they are not too close to the new moon. I did a video on the Sagittarian new moon, but they're still in conversation with the moon. So check out that video. But the very first thing we're going to see as they enter the sign is they're both going to be trining Jupiter retrograde at 28 degrees in Pisces. This is starts on the 19th, which is 2 days from today. And this is even with Jupiter retrograde, because Jupiter isn't too bad even in retrograde, this to me feels like a very harmonious aspect. It almost feels like it sets the tone for these two planets for the month, to be sort of lighthearted and flirtatious and looking on the bright side of things. You know, for every rainstorm there are rainbows, and I think we're going to need that as we venture into some of the other dynamics coming up in the coming years. Jupiter is also stationing to go direct. So Jupiter's power right now is extremely strong. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, and Venus, her best friend, is Pisces. So all of this is really super synergistic, having Mercury be the opposite planet, or rules Gemini, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So it's almost a very Sagittarian theme in some ways, where opposites are finding alignment. And I always feel like there is an alignment and a synergy between the opposite signs on the zodiac wheel. So then on the 23rd, Jupiter is going to go direct. We're going to have our new moon, and Venus will be at 11 degrees Sagittarius, and Mercury will be at 12 degrees Sagittarius. And Mercury will actually be making an exact trine to Chiron in Aries, Chiron being retrograde at 12 degrees. And Venus here, she's on the heels of all this. So to me, they're really making pretty much an exact trine, because as Mercury moves off the exact trine, Venus will move into trine. This is where our stay in Sagittarius is really starting to trigger those thoughts of, what is my self-worth? What do I want? And how am I going to measure myself? Am I going to measure myself by the way other people perceive me? Or is it time for me to start to measure myself by my own standards, my own ethics, my own moralities, my own sense of integrity? This influence is going to be going on for a few days, and it's right around the United States Thanksgiving holiday. So this may come up. Mercury rules our siblings. Venus rules our family history. So you may find yourself really actually feeling really good in situations about who and what you are and how you've evolved, how you've given yourself permission to ebb and flow, to be a fabulously flawed human being and still keep vitality and a zest for life. And I think that's really important and really exciting. And I'm planning on taking advantage of all that energy. On the 29th, we will see Venus at 17 degrees Sagittarius, and we will see Mercury at 19 degrees Sagittarius, where Mercury will be making an exact opposition to Mars in Gemini. Mars is retrograde at 19 degrees. And then we have Mercury making a sextile to Saturn, 19 degrees Aquarius. This is an interesting day because Mars is feeling a little repressed in Gemini, a little frustrated, having to go back, slow its roll, and go over kind of some things I don't think Mars likes. Like, how am I showing up with my teammates? How am I processing my thoughts? Am I operating on anger and frustration, or is there another opportunity? Because the opposition to Mercury, and Mercury hanging out in Sagittarius, Mercury is starting to have some high-minded thoughts and starting to say, maybe there's some wisdom behind all of this. Maybe there's some knowledge to gain. And Mars is a little bit like, excuse me, I'm kind of sick and tired of the scenery around here. I'd like to mosey on down the road. And then the sextile to Saturn is Saturn sort of saying, I'm doing my best to slow the roll so everybody can take in and absorb the energies that are being offered in this time. Because in that opposition is sort of this, I kind of like to put a positive spin on all the challenging things, because those I think are the true pearls that give us the power and the confidence and the willingness to go into unknown territories where we have to stand up for ourselves and our dreams and our hopes. So here, Mercury and Mars in this opposition, I kind of feel like it's warrior pose in yoga, that the more you kind of surrender that you need this tension in order to make a real breakthrough, the more Saturn now plays to the higher vibrations of Saturn, reviewing your history so that you can incorporate your history, reviewing where you've been, taking that sort of slow down and kind of, do I need to be frustrated about this, or has this given me something that I have inadvertently not paid attention to? So I think that's going to be kind of an interesting time, an interesting day. And I think it because those that are kind of aware and more willing to do the inventory, be conscious and co-creating their lives, this will be an aspect that is not as challenging, I think. But for those that are unconscious, it could create a lot of frustration and anger and wanting to lash out. You know, this could be where if you're still hanging, you could be challenged on the road. You know, Mercury rules our roadways and Mars rules aggression and anger. So, you know, people may be, you know, I don't even know. That might be, you know, the holiday season shopping frustrations could be going on. But in any case, that's a day just to allow for your consciousness and your evolution to be forefront in your mind. On the 30th, Venus is going to make her exact opposition to Mars, and that is at 18 degrees. That's always very pivotal to me because it's the Virgo degree. And so to me, this is adding a layer of Venus getting an opportunity to take the philosophies she's discovering in Sagittarius, this new way of being, and now allowing herself to start to ask herself some hard questions, you know, about relationships. Mars and Venus are always the man and the woman. Traditionally, you know, we kind of look at it that way. I should even say in modern times, Mars represents the man. So this may be where there's some sort of challenging opposition that brings illumination, or an opportunity to incorporate the knowledge, hence the wisdom that you've been garnishing as you've been going through Sagittarius's review of your beliefs about your self-worth and your deserving to be loved and to be cherished on this planet. On the 1st of December, Mercury will be at 22 degrees Sagittarius. And here we're seeing a square to Neptune. We had a square between, not a square, we had an opposition between these two planets when Mercury was going through the later degrees of Virgo. And then Mercury went retrograde, and we saw this going back and forth. At that time, Neptune is literally stationing to go direct, I believe, the next day. So this square, and how I've started to determine squares, is like a fork in the road between an old version of myself and an evolved version of myself, the person I want to be, but haven't quite anchored into the human experience, and the person who I've always been, who I still love, but I'd like to see that person evolve. This feels like a real day where those two people come together and have a sort of tense conversation about what direction are we going to go. Are we going to let our monkey mind take over? Are we going to let all the experiences of yesteryear set the tone for tomorrow? Or are we going to be a little bit brave in removing any illusions, delusions, false hopes, and start to implement the higher minded ideals that Mercury's been experiencing through Sagittarius? And 2 days later, Venus is going to have that same square. So this could very much come about involving your thoughts about money, your ability to make money through your creative endeavors. This would come in direct relationship to your love relationships, and reviewing if you're, you know, not just how your partner's showing up, but how are you showing up in relation to them? It's not easy, but we don't always have to fall prey to somebody else's behavior. Oftentimes when couples argue, they'll say, you know, you made me do this. You were so mean. And, you know, I don't know if mean on mean works, or if even escapism, you know, Neptune rules escapism, and it's the first day she's pretty much, or she's just starting her direct motion. So she's standing, like, I don't know why I'm calling Neptune a she. I'm not even sure. It's ruled by Poseidon. That was a guy. Anyway, Neptune feels to me like it's sitting there and almost like I need to float on my back in the water for a few minutes so I can get real perception and a real sense of the waves before I move forward. And this may also be a moment where Venus is struggling with her own sense of disappointment in revisiting something or being aware of something that she may have ignored. And now it's not really, you're not really able to ignore it. So now she's got to decide who to love more, herself or something or someone else. Money. Do I love money more than I love myself? Do I love false sense of security by being in a relationship with someone that doesn't really align with me? These are some of the questions that may come up. And I think it's kind of poignant that it's coming towards the end of the journey through Sagittarius, because it's apropos. It makes sense because this first period feels so light that it offers experiences and almost like a carrot dingling out in the future, come this way, come this way. And then some of the historic things start to creep up, and that we see, with Mars being aggressive or can be aggressive and impatient. And then the sextile to Saturn, while it's not a difficult aspect to Venus or Mercury, it's definitely a pause and a review of history of some kind. And that review could be, where have I given up my power to another authority? So, all right, now our final little transits are on the 5th. Mercury will be at 28 degrees Sagittarius, making a square to Jupiter, now going direct at 29 degrees Pisces. And then on the 7th and the 8th of December, Venus will start her square with Jupiter. I think when we see Mercury make it square to Jupiter, it's really going to be a conversation between implementing those high-minded ideals. When I go into the 28th and 29th degrees, while I know those are the Cancer and Leo degrees, they also speak to the master number of thought. 28 reduces down to a 10, 29 reduces down to an 11. And more so than in any other sign, when we're in Sagittarius, this is really asking me, what do I think? What is my ideology? What is my philosophy? What is my true moral compass? And am I willing to put my chips in on what I believe? Because belief is the impetus for manifestation. If you don't believe it, you can say to somebody, I've been doing all the work. But if you have a wobble in your energy, if you've lived a history that says, I don't deserve, you're going to have to really come clean about that believing you deserve in order to bring the quality of relationship or the quality of situation or experience that you want into your physical world. And that's how these two planets, to me, as they end their sojourn in Sagittarius, and this square to Jupiter is not negative. It's more of this sort of, I kind of think this is where Jupiter plays the guru. This is where Jupiter plays the spiritual teacher and coaxes Mercury and Venus into an awareness that is not judgmental, but rather informative. And the things that they have experienced, they have deserved and are overdue for the reward of their evolution here. And as they go into Capricorn, there's going to be an opportunity to build on this new awareness, or fall into patterns of old structures that don't serve us. But I don't think so this time. I think those of us that are really intentional about walking a conscious path have a growing bubble of self-forgiveness and self-love and self-awareness. So that's what Teri Hunter thinks about Venus and Mercury going through the sign of Sagittarius here in the year 2022. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be live on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific time, with getting the angels' advice for traversing the week's transits ahead. And there'll be more content. So please hit that notification bell, share these videos, subscribe if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you on Sundays. Take care, everybody. Peace out.